Every time the pressure rises, we play better. Let's go take down the trail.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
This game is brought to you by Spin Ultimate, proud to sponsor Ultiworld's 2020 college coverage. Visit Spin Ultimate on the web at spinultimate.com.
Welcome to live coverage of the 2017 Division I College Championships from Mason, Ohio. We're going to jump right in with Texas and British Columbia, a round 5 matchup in the women's division. Keith Rayner joined by Katie Reynolds in the booth, and Texas working on a game-opening break. Deep shot goes up, and a foul call here. Judith Yao talking it over.
I think that was nice physical D in the end zone. Certainly something that Queen can call, but I think any good defender is going to body up on that disc and try to prevent her from bringing that down.
So Quina and Yao discussing it with the observer.
She's saying not a foul.
So the disc is going to go back to UBC. And they're still working on trying to get a hold. Both teams with 2 turnovers so far. And a big layout block.
It's from Lori Gerenser, who you don't always see making the big defensive plays for Texas. It's not something we've seen a lot from her, but good to know she's pulling out all the stops when Nationals comes around.
And now Drea Esparza tries to put a disc to the back of the end zone, but the wind takes it away.
Yeah, it was a floaty shot there.
And an inefficient beginning to this game between Texas and UBC. Texas, the number 4 overall seed and the top team in Pool D, taking on UBC, the number 5 overall seed. A rematch of the Stanford Invite semifinals, where both Eldar Young and Naomi Morsilla had a big impact, but they're unable to connect on Al Young's huck to Morsilla.
Young and Morsilla have been great parts of UBC's O-line throughout this season. Both of them really fast downfield, and both of them have the throws to turn around and continue the disc downfield, which just makes UBC's entire offense move so much faster than most other teams.
Esparza brings it in and centers it up to Gerenser. And this veteran Texas offense, many years of experience together, and that helps them set up plays like this. Great read on the disc from Marissa Land, and Shiru Liu gets melee on the board with a break.
It's a little bit windy of a throw, but one of the things Marissa Land is best at is running down discs like that. You almost don't see her make a lot of bidding plays because she is so fast. She can just catch up to the disc no matter how fast it's going.
We'll take another look at Liu's shot. A backhand that coasts on the wind and a really exceptional read from Marissa Land to make a play on that, and an inauspicious start for this UBC team. We're excited to bring you this great matchup here from the women's division. These are 2 of the top teams in the women's division, and as we said, they have matched up once this year in the semifinals of the Stanford Invite. Texas able to fight off UBC in a close one. I believe a comeback victory for Texas.
Yeah, 13-11 final score. That's a score that can't make Texas feel safe in this game. They may have won that, but they know UBC is capable of staying in these games.
And of course, that also one of the plays of the year, one of the most iconic moments of the season came from that game. Julia Schmaltz's incredible grab over the head of Naomi Morsilla. And Schmaltz already making herself known in this game with an interception. Here's a deep shot from Janelle Siwa to Paige Muir right on the goal line, and an easy continue to Young for a UBC hold.
Some nice offense from UBC there. Interestingly, bringing over some of the players they typically have on their D-line. Their O and D lines are not completely set, but there are players who typically stay on the D-line. Paige Muir and Laurel Oldershaw are mainstays on that D-line, and I'm curious to see if they stay on for this point to try to get the break after that nice hold.
And thus far, Katie, up until last round, there had been no upsets at this tournament, but that has changed. Some big upsets to talk about during the course of this game.
Yeah, UCLA taking down Virginia. Not a bottom of the pool, over the top of the pool kind of surprising upset. Those are both really talented teams, but still has implications for bracket play later on.
In the men's division, Auburn defeats Colorado 14-13, excuse me. A very close one there, but upsets starting to be a presence here in Mason. The heat is another thing as the day has worn on and these teams have already started to feel some sort of fatigue. Now we're hitting about peak temperatures, maybe 80 degrees, and that throw a little too hot for Esparza to handle. Now the throw to the end zone, a bid from Caitlin Harper, but she can't catch up to Esther Al's throw, and that break opportunity will be wasted.
Caitlin Harper is a rookie on this squad and has already stepped into a pretty big position for UBC on this team, partially because of her height and just natural athletic instincts. She's already been really useful for this team that does not have a lot of height on their squad.
Caitlin Harper, a grad student, but still a rookie for this UBC team.
Some of the classic Texas give-and-go movement while they look for power position. If UBC can shut that down, it will really challenge Texas's offense.
And their ability to use these handler moves to get side to side means that they can both beat you deep from getting power position hucks or work you up the field by just taking a couple yards at a time. Here's Esparza. Power position huck looking for Schmaltz, their most popular deep target, and she gets enough separation to get it on the goal line. And finishes it off going right back to Esparza. And that makes it 2-1 Texas.
We will see that combination more than once in this game. Dre likes to throw to Esparza, and Esparza loves catching those deep hucks.
So Schmaltz already with a D and an assist.
And one of the things that's made this Texas squad so powerful last year and this year is the fact that so many of them play club together. I think 6 or 7 of them play showdown together, which really means they're spending, 12 months of the year, 9 months of the year playing together, learning what each other wants, when someone's got the disc. And you can't manufacture that kind of chemistry, and it's showing in their offense this season.
Naomi Johnson drawing the coverage there on Schmaltz, and a tough ask, especially for a UBC team that historically has struggled to defend the deep space in person situations. They like to run a lot of zone to take some of that away. They're not a very tall team, but Johnson rings in at just under 6 feet, giving her the best option. But Schmaltz is a real handful, and she is not the only tall player on this Texas team.
Absolutely, and it'll be interesting to see how much zone UBC tries to implement to prevent those deep hucks. They've got a great zone.
Dominica Sutherland with the pull for Melee in the whites. Laura Oldershaw fields it in the blacks, and just flubbing the centering throw. Janelle Siwa gives Texas a short field. And great job to get it back from Julia Zhang. Now UBC gets a second opportunity, but nearly wasted. Second ever catch from Laurel Oldershaw.
A lot of these discs floating in the air as the wind has picked up a little bit just in this point.
What a block from Siwa.
Wow.
Getting back her earlier mistake.
Both teams are trying to push the pace right now, try to gain control, but this wind is forcing some of those throws to be floatier than you'd want. Great grab from Morsilla there.
And now Morsilla in the red zone, and an excellent inside break from Morsilla. She can catch it, she can throw it, and finds her target, Joanna Lowe, for the goal. So a flurry of mistakes during that point, but it's capped off by Naomi Morsilla as we take another look at that Siwa block. Just two hands tell her no.
Dialed in to try to get her team the disc back for that hold.
So a couple mistakes from both sides, but it's UBC who's able to grind out the score. The wind has been a bit gusting. I would say it's coming in spurts, and I think that's part of why these teams are struggling with it. But the teams have just got to avoid really putting up high throws. The wind's just going to eat those alive.
And this is something that UBC is actually pretty familiar with in the Northwest, and their experience in the wind and their whole roster's skills with throws showed on Sunday of Northwest Regionals when it was windy. Talking to their coach, she talked about how much they focus on everyone on their roster being able to throw competently downfield, inside breaks, hucks and that sort of thing, and it shows in how they're able to move the disc, especially in gusty wind.
Denise Sue with the pull for UBC, but it is widely out of bounds, and so Texas is going to get a really excellent short field opportunity to begin this possession. This is a tough spot to be in as a defense, but fortunately there's been enough execution mistakes that maybe UBC can manage to get the disc back.
Got Marissa Land on the top of the stack here. Use her speed to just
at the
roast
quickness.
Sue.
And that's a tough point for Denise Sue. To have the pull out of bounds and then get scored on is pretty rough, so we'll see how the freshman can collect herself. She's been one of the most impressive rookies we've seen in the field this season. But her mental toughness is going to be put to the test here by Texas Melee.
Those are the kind of points you just have to let roll off your back and move on to the next one.
It's especially important for handlers. I know as a handler myself and someone who's worked with handlers, as we take a look at this Texas defensive line, getting ready to try and put in another break. But you talk to handlers about having to take on mistakes. A lot of the turnovers are going to come from you. That's just the way it is. And you have to be able to not let your last turnover become more turnovers.
Sue primarily plays on their D-line, so UBC's O-line will be out here to have a chance to try to hold.
And really basically an O-line here for Texas coming out on defense again after that quick O point. Coach is taking advantage of that short play to see if they can get them another point on. And there's Zhang, able to get it up to Oldershaw. Nice movement there from near the disc to create space downfield. And it sets up Siwa to huck to Zhang, and a nice forehand floating throw that Zhang catches up to.
Another beautiful offensive point from UBC. I think with Mira Donaldson leaving UBC, players like Janelle Siwa and SRO have been able to really come into their own on this team and step up and show that they've always been talented handlers for this squad, where maybe before just the sheer power and talent of Donaldson, they couldn't help but cast a shadow.
You see Siwa getting open and then a little frustrated with that throw going to the open side, but so much separation for Zhang and enough float on it that she can catch up to it. And Donaldson not able to take this team as far as perhaps her talent might indicate. And unfortunately, they did make the semifinals with her on the team, but due to a concussion that she had unfortunately suffered during pool play, she wasn't able to compete in that semifinal. And UBC put up a valiant fight anyway. That's I think where we really got to know Ellen Young on the field.
Absolutely. And she's continued to be an offensive rock for UBC. Here.
I think it's also helpful to have a player who's such a strong defender on your O-line who can help you get the disc back, especially if you're going to struggle with bouts of inconsistency like we've seen both of these offenses do over the course of the first few points of this game. Speaking of, Shirulu's backhand just finds turf, and Siwa checks it in.
Miscue there between Siwa and McCann. Siwa looking for that inside, but McCann had already cleared into the open space.
Both teams seeming a little flustered. Just not quite on the same page with their cutters. Don't know if it's rushing it or it's the wind, but it's causing some problems. And here we see Land looking for Schmaltz, and an athletic twisting grab by Schmaltz on a throw that looked like it was going to go over her head.
She makes them look quite easy.
Now here's Gerentzer swinging around, and Lou backhand into the end zone. Tracked down. Nice job by Cuna.
It's another offensive hold for Texas. Texas not looking really polished in their first round today against the 20 seed UConn. We'll look at the goal again here.
A deep shot there from Melissa Land. And look at that grab by Schmaltz. Just very little time to react to the play, but don't need that much time when you're a great athlete and you got sticky hands.
She certainly makes very tricky plays look quite effortless. And she's able to play quite a lot of minutes for Texas, and it takes a lot for her to show fatigue in her execution on the field. Texas's D-line out on the field, helmed by Domenica Sutherland, who often takes the toughest matchups on the field, whether it's Versu or probably on this line, I'd guess Ellen Young.
And she's really blossomed into a stopper for this melee team. She's a good puller. She's a well-rounded defender who can take on all sorts of different matchups. And a lot of it's just on smarts and physicality. She's not an imposing figure. She's not that tall, but she knows how to generate blocks and frustrate cutters. Now she's taking on Julia Zhang, and Zhang's throw a little bit behind the receiver, and Delaney Ignatieff drops that one. But UBC gets it back. Deep shot from Morcilla is overthrown.
Another turn here, and UBC will have a chance at the disc again.
And just all the turnovers coming in bunches here. Morcilla taking off deep from short. And they put it up to her, but the throw is also short. And a block by Cameron Bryant. Sutherland ambitious.
She may have been punting for position there in this wind. Get it out of your own space and try to generate a turn down here. Tam with the disc.
Tam to Ignatieff. And now here's All Young with a wide open look and a great block.
It's Mel Gidlow there. A nice block in space. Good heads up defense. Another punt here from Overman. A nice block from O Young there. A lot of turns in this point. We've seen a couple of these.
And Texas looking very aggressive deep on this D point. Seem willing to give up field position with lower percentage shots. Now here's O Young looking for Ignatif, and it looked like she might have caught up to that, but can't tell if she got a hand on it. Nice look there from O Young.
Sarah Lee with the disc to Overman.
Wind gusting here, correlating with these turnovers. Now here's Sutherland. Rips a forehand. Oldershaw and Chase and just bowls over
It's Lee there on the ground.
Sarah Lee. And I don't know if Lee was going to catch up to that, but Oldershaw may have bailed her out with a foul.
Yeah, it's possible. I have not seen a lot of big bidding plays from Lee so far this season. But at Nationals, you never know. I've seen a lot of women today make big plays that they don't make in the regular season. Seems like she'll get it now.
Lee takes a timeout here. And they're going to set up to see if they can punch in this red zone possession.
What does it mean to be powered by Savage? It means we become part of your team. From the moment you're paired with one of our sales reps who will guide you through the ordering process, to working with a designated member of our design team to bring your vision to life. Every step of the production process happens in-house, from printing your gear on our green line fabric made from 100% recycled plastic bottles, to cutting out every piece and carefully stitching it together by hand. Wherever you are, however you play, we've got your back. That's what it means to be powered by Savage.
And going back to that foul, it's a mistake that from Oldershaw. I think it looks a little bit like all bad luck. I think you have to acknowledge that it's a defensive error to get that foul because it was a low percentage opportunity. The receiver would have had to make a real play on it to catch it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Keith. I think this is giving Texas position, whereas before it may have just been a turn.
Credit to Sutherland for really cocking back and launching one, showing off the forehand power. And a wise timeout from Lee also. Great opportunity to get set up and try and settle after the team has struggled with converting on this point. The winner of this game will be in the driver's seat in Pool D. There haven't been any upsets in this pool, although Cal narrowly avoided one against UNC.
Great end zone defense from UBC on that point, but Texas scores. And that is a Texas break to lead 5-3 over UBC. Fantastic end zone defense from UBC, I've got to say. Texas really had to work, and certainly that was not their first, second, or third option for that goal, but they managed to punch it in.
And another timeout will give us a brief break. And Texas has gotten 2 breaks, and UBC hasn't been able to get any. What do you think this UBC defense needs to do, if anything, to try and get back into this game?
Well, they actually haven't been really punished in the deep game as much as we thought that they might be. I think that setting a zone is not a bad idea. With the wind, try to slow down this pace. Just throw something different at Texas. What we've seen work well on Texas in the past is putting really strong handler defenders on Esparza, Sutherland, Liu, and Garansur to really stop that give-and-go movement. We saw that working at Stanford Invite, and that really stymies their entire offense. So if I were UBC right now, I would be looking to lock down on that movement first and then worry about Schmaltz second.
I imagine that with these 2 timeouts in a row, soon we're probably going to see the things get a little mixed up defensively. I think we'll see some different looks as the teams start to reach into their tool bags, whether that's adjustments in poaching or matchups on the mark, or whether it'll be a full-blown zone or junk look. But I don't imagine we're going to see these teams keep playing as honest as they have, especially based on how these first couple points have gone offensively.
Certainly, and I think if both teams were to stick just to hard person, you've got to think about heat as a factor. If you've got everyone running their hardest in every single point. It's pretty hot outside. Everyone's already played a game today, and if this game gets into high counts, that's real exhaustion you're going to have to factor into your play tomorrow.
Texas pole will tail out of bounds and give UBC pretty strong field position to start this point. UBC with a win already to their name. Texas with an earlier win over UConn, and UBC beating North Carolina pretty handily. And a first throw huck, looking for all Young, and you can see the wolves that she's got. Siwa collects another assist with a quick hold.
Gotta love efficiency in this heat. That'll do the trick.
And one of the things I feel like I'll always remember Ellen All Young for is the distinctive style in which she wears her shorts. And you can see that as we take another look at this deep cut. Maybe it's an aerodynamics thing, because this girl's got wheels. You can see her just taking off and tracking down what was a difficult read. That just had some edge to it and some pace. All Young catches up to it. Her teammates call it diapering.
I've heard that before from other teams as well.
I have not seen any player do it so
consistently
as All Young. And it's something I think her teammates have given her some grief for over the years, but hadn't stopped her, and hey, it's working for her. Maybe she'll set a trend.
When you're a player that talented, I think you can get away with things and have a lot of teasing still.
If you don't see it, you can't be it, Katie. Na Young, a member of the All-Star Tour this past year, so she has a chance to inspire some young players to follow in her footsteps. Oldershaw's pull set up her team in good defensive position, and here we go, a change in the look from the Thunderbirds.
There's that zone.
Three players up front. Looks like a 3-1-2-1. Morcilla at the top of the diamond downfield. Nice throw by Garantzer through the cup. Creates some room. And now a switch to person from Texas. But Garantzer's throw not in tune with Shirley's movement. And a turnover for Texas.
It was an odd miscue. It seemed like Lou could have possibly run that down.
Look for Paige Muir, who's isolated to get involved in the deep game. But no, they're going to choose to use Morcilla and her speed. Throw goes over her back shoulder, and she's not able to turn and find it in time.
UBC setting their zone again. And you can see Schmaltz pulling Johnson deep in this zone. You can tell that she's looking for that huck.
Well, I think this is a much better position to defend the deep shot from. Got Naomi Johnson at a standstill rather than trying to cover Schmaltz while in motion. Great throw by Lou. These handlers are showing off their skills as they penetrate through the cup with some nice backhands. Lou gets it upfield to
Kuna is knocked down, but she's back up.
Kuna resets to Lou.
UBC transitioning seamlessly into person here.
I like
the Texas handlers are using those give and goes that they now have access to again.
I like the decision to transition when you have them on the sideline so you can try and pin them there, but the defense really does not do much with it. And a beautiful throw from Shiru Lou right in step with Cunha for the goal. 6-4, Texas leads. And really, I feel like there was a mistake on defense by Paige Muir there. Gets beat up the line by Esparza when they have her on the sideline. So we see the end result here. And then Esparza's able to get off that break forehand we just saw because Muir, after getting beat, over-pursued to stop the huck. That created all the offline motion and all the space that Lou needed to eventually throw that backhand score to Gabrielle Cunha.
Well, it's tough when players like Esparza have established themselves as shooters. As a defender, you have to make that decision. Do I jump into that deep lane to try to stop that initial huck, or do I hold the force? And in that scenario, she did not choose correctly.
It's all about discipline, and certainly something to work on, especially Muir's a very young player, sophomore for this UBC team. But her offense will get back out there, trailing by 2, and looking to preserve the opportunity this D-line's been searching for to get that break and get them back into the game. Sutherland readies the pull. Rolls out of the sideline, but a nice job by UBC to create some motion off of that, but jump ball huck. But Lowe can't track it down. They've struggled to get these deep shots out in front of the receivers, a lot of hanging ones in this wind. Sutherland struggling with the same problem here as that one hangs and Vic McCann's in the area to block it.
I wonder about the decision to shoot going upwind this direction. It was not a shot Texas needed to take there.
I think Texas has established they're going to be as aggressive as they can. UBC, not much less so. Great layout grab there from Sutherland. She is staying active. Throw goes over her head, but she tracks it down. You can kind of sense that a deep shot may be coming from her.
There's pretty stagnant movement from the Texas cutters. They like to cut off of the Texas's handler movement, and when those handlers aren't doing the same sort of cuts, often, and we've seen before earlier in the season, Texas cutters don't quite know how to grind and create the space for themselves in those scenarios.
And there, Sutherland rushes the forehand, it floats, and an uncontested foul, though, on the hanging disc. So Texas will keep it.
Lee
resets. Now over to Bryan. Her throw is high as well, and McCann knocks it down. Siwa will come in with Sutherland on the mark. Morcilla, great forehand huck for Lowe, and that's the kind of throw they've needed. The throw out in front, let this team use their excellent team speed to beat you. UBC back within 1, 6-5.
During that point, Lowe made several deep cuts looking for different handlers as they swung the disc and reset it. And I think the difference for UBC is not taking that deep shot on the first pass when Siwa sees it, but allowing them to move into the middle of the field and really truly gain power position so that that's an easier throw for UBC.
And I think so far in this game, one of the things you can see as we take another look at this throw from Morcilla is the development of Morcilla as a well-rounded player. I think she started off her career really as just a speedster, get the run-through block, take off deep, let a thrower hit you. But her game has really grown, and now she's able to be an initiating cutter that has quality continue throws to get this offense going.
It's part of what makes UBC seem like such a fast team. Not only are they fast, but cutters can advance to other cutters without having to reset to handlers, which makes the entire pace of their offense move so much quicker. I've seen before UBC, not only do their cutters have deep and away shots like that, but they've got some nice insides as well.
And I just want to give you a quick score update because this one is a shocker. Ohio State opens with 5 straight breaks on number 1 seed Stanford. Stanford just secured their first hold and is trailing 5-1 to the 5 seed in their pool.
That is surprising.
And here's a shot. We know what's happened on this matchup before. Just a high throw from Esparza to Schmaltz, and just really tough for Marcilla to compete with such a tall, athletic cutter.
She's got to dread being the person marking Schmaltz. You just know that the chances of becoming posterized are so much higher.
And that's Schmaltz's first goal of the game, despite, I think, having caught maybe 4 or 5 hucks. She's been very effective in the deep game, but maybe doing the win, a lot of warning track hucks. But this one, you can see just really it's difficult for Marcilla to do anything about it on a high throw like that. If you put it out to space and let Marcilla use her speed, maybe she can get position and hold it. But in just a jump ball situation like that, Schmaltz is going to win 85% of those. We'll get you more score updates from around the tournament as they come in. Can tell you, Virginia, coming off their upset loss to UCLA, now tied with UC San Diego and giving up frequent break chances in this win, but San Diego not able to capitalize. It's 2-2 in that one as this pull goes out of bounds. In the men's division, Minnesota leads Oregon 7-5. It's really a key game going on right now in Pool D. As that throw is caught by Megan Zhu. And here we see a zone from Texas. As like we thought, both teams starting to mix it up a little bit. Change the pace of the game and the looks for the offense. Tam with the disc. Gets it off to Zhu. Tam looking for some downfield motion before she fires all young, and a great job by Tam to follow her throw upfield. She and all young, along with Naomi Johnson, just working it into the end zone, and the last to touch it. Nice hold there from UBC.
I think that point really shows what Ao Young brings to this offense. UBC can swing and reset out of that zone, but once it gets into the hands of Ao Young, the whole pace of the game changes.
And I like that, I really want to credit Tam for following her throw in the zone. It's a great way to create motion that the defense isn't prepared for. Most downfields and zones are set up to guard cutters coming from downfield, but here Tam and Ao Young are able to break it open, and then Ao Young hitting Tam on the open side, and she just continues up ahead to Johnson for the score. So UBC trailing by 1, has yet to get a break in this game, and if they can get one here, they can potentially turn the tide as we approach the halftime break. Man, Katie, we didn't have any upsets to start the weekend, or the tournament rather, and now we're staring one of the biggest upsets in a long time in the face. Stanford with a big hole to climb out of against Ohio State.
Stanford had a tough game this morning against Colorado. Colorado really matching them in person defense from both teams in the heat. Stanford's got a small roster. That exhaustion has to be showing right now.
And the 5th seed in the pool had never upset a number 1 seed in the women's format, the modern women's format, until 2 years ago when this Texas team did it to UCLA. So we make it our second one in the history of the modern women's division. turnover there from Texas is going to give UBC the break chance they've been seeking. Caitlin Harper holding the disc with no mark. But the disc will go back, so. Judith Yao with the disc in hand. Shira Liu on the mark. With her distinctive neck band.
Nice grab there
stall
from
call
Sue.
from Liu. And as often happens, a bit of a discussion about whether that last couple seconds was at regular speed or double time.
There's always confusion about stall calls. Did you say the T of 10?
I talked about this on an earlier broadcast, but I just feel like it's such an unintuitive interaction that's always going to be clunky. The last couple seconds, if you fast count them, you call the stall before the person can call the fast count, and then you get into this awkward discussion after the fact. So the disc is going to go back to Yao and come in on stall 8. So a couple seconds of defense could get this back for Texas. But Oldershaw finds room against Esparza. Nice job by Zhang to get open on that
Great
pseudo
shot
up line
there.
cut and hits Morcilla for the goal and the break. UBC gets their first of the game just in time. Now another one will take them to half with the lead.
Beautiful defensive efficiency there after the turn. Particularly seeing Zhang catch the under and immediately turn and zip that disc into the end zone. That's what UBC does so well.
Now, I want to highlight this play as you see the cut that Zhang is making. She's been doing this a lot in this game. Basically like an undercut almost to the break side or really into the reset space and then curling up into it, turning a downfield cut into an upline cut. But a little further downfield so she gains a lot more yardage and is able to create separation when she curls and takes away her defender's space. She's using that to get open on the open side and then have space to throw great continue throws. And very effective there. She's able to throw a forehand over to Morcilla and tie it up at 7-7.
It's a cut that requires a lot of chemistry with your teammates. So your teammates are not cutting into the same space or, clearing at the wrong time off of that cut.
So UBC will send out what I imagine will be a stacked line, looking to take the break in half and make their run 3 straight.
Texas certainly has a stacked line out right now, hoping to just hold and take half and get this half over with.
I mean, their stacked line's just their O-line, right?
I wonder if that's why they're the 4 seed in this tournament,
Yeah.
Keith.
I guess if push came to shove, they'd probably bring Sutherland over. We've seen them do it before. But deciding to send out a well-oiled machine of an offense here. Here's the pull from Janelle Siwa. And if this one stays in Browns, it'd be a beauty, but that's just too much to hope for. Difficult, to be fair, very difficult conditions to pull in. So Shira Liu will trot the disc to the brick mark. And it looks like UBC is going to come out with a junk look here. They're matched up downfield, but in a 3-person cup up front. And a foul call from Liu on what looked like a turnover. But definitely some contact as Liu made the cut.
Yeah, just watching that play, I would not have called a foul.
I'm actually think I'm inclined to disagree. I think maybe got a bit of the hand and that impeded Liu's ability to bring her hand up to make the catch. I think you might not call the foul immediately because you're like, oh, I need to focus on making this grab, and maybe if I make it, it won't matter.
Sure.
The late foul call always a little awkward. the foul call will be upheld, so this is going to stay in the hands of Sheer Liu. And UBC is going to take this stoppage as an opportunity to transition into person defense. Great defense by Oldershaw on the up line cut. And now Esparza's forced to punt it. And nicely intercepted by Siwa.
A nice mark there from Tam on Esparza as well. Really preventing her from taking that around. Another call here.
That, for a brief second, it looked like that punt was going to be just short enough that Schmaltz was going to get to it. But Siwa with enough wherewithal to recognize that Schmaltz was in the area and she needed to go attack the disc. UBC attempting to get their first lead of the game. Siwa winds up a big backhand. All Young with lots of separation, but just too generous on the power there, and All Young can't catch up to it. Gives Texas a full 70.
Wynn has picked up even more here. Loose centers to Gerenser.
Esparza gets open up the line and looks for the deep shot for Schmaltz. Motions for her to come back under. Puppeteering her cutter. But Schmaltz in a really tight space. Nice job to find a release up ahead to land. And Cunha's throw is too far out in front, but maybe another foul call will. Nope.
Texas really forcing it up the open side here. Great UBC marks, and they were unable to swing it off of that sideline.
So another chance for UBC. I wouldn't be surprised to see them look deep aggressively once more, especially if they can get Morcilla and All Young going. And those two are taking control right now, using their speed. All Young looks off Oldershaw, resets to Siwa, and now a wide open Serena Tam getting the disc across the field. Acrobatic catch from Morcilla to keep it above the ground. And look at All Young. She and Morcilla just take over the point, and a 3-goal run from British Columbia takes them into the half with their first lead of the game, Katie, 8-7.
What a great break from UBC there. Oh Young just destroying her matchup there. It's hard to put height on speed and expect you not to be punished for it.
Fear the diaper, folks. All Young's got it going. And once she starts moving, it's hard to catch up because she just doesn't let you. I like that once she has the advantage, she presses it rather than relaxes. And they're able to create some break side motion, hit Julia Zhang to take us to half. The teams are going to take a 10-minute break to figure out what they're going to do to try and win this game and potentially this pool. We're going to take a 10-minute break to figure out how we can bring you the best production possible. We'll see you guys in just about 10 minutes.
What does it mean to be powered by Savage? It means we become part of your team. From the moment you're paired with one of our sales reps who will guide you through the ordering process, to working with a designated member of our design team to bring your vision to life. Every step of the production process happens in-house, from printing your gear on our Green Line fabric made from 100% recycled plastic bottles, to cutting out every piece and carefully stitching it together by hand. Wherever you are, however you play, we've got your back. That's what it means to be powered by Savage.
Welcome back to Ultiworld's live coverage of the 2017 Division I College Championships here in Mason, Ohio, just outside Cincinnati. British Columbia taking on Texas. And Texas, after holding a steady advantage although a slim one through the first half. Gives up 2 straight breaks to end the half, and UBC gets their first lead, 8-7, Katie. Are you surprised at all by the results or the tenor of this game thus far?
No, I'm not surprised that UBC is making this a fight. I think Texas had some sloppy choices early in the first half, and as UBC has tightened up their own choices, it makes sense that they're generating these turns and converting more of their defensive opportunities.
Looking at the level of play, I think, really increased in the back end of that first half. In the first 8 points or so, teams were turning the disc over pretty frequently. There are a couple of turnover-free points, but a couple of points with 4 or 5 turnovers apiece. And in the back end of that second half, that really tightened up. We didn't get any points with 2 or more turnovers. So we'll see if the offenses continue to clean it up and see what the defenses do to adjust that. We saw both teams trying a little zone, mixing the looks up. Katie, are there any expectations you have for the second half as far as tactical changes?
I expect to see UBC set that same zone that they transition out of pretty quickly. I think that's helping them stop the initial big looks from Texas, and they've shown that they can transition pretty well. I would actually be surprised if Texas played that zone again. I think their bread and butter is close person defense. I think they tried some zone to mix it up, but I would expect them to go back to trying to stick in the pockets of the UBC cutters.
If you want to follow along with everything going on here in Mason, check out ultiworld.com/live. We've got a brand new live blog that we're giving a shot this year, hoping that we can bring you more interactive and faster news. Feel free to tweet at us and ask us questions because we've got a little more capability to give you quick responses about what's going on here. And we'll be putting out a lot of recap coverage over the course of the evening and for the rest of the tournament. But if you're not able to make it out here, which I highly recommend one time that you really get out to College Nationals, it's a great environment, then we'll do our darndest to make you feel like you're here. And right now, UBC is going to try and put some pressure on this Texas team and see if they can continue the run that they began at the end of the second half. Coming out with a zone look. Sparza working with Garanser.
Nice movement here from Texas through the zone. You can see cutters in the midfield trying to open up these spaces as UBC transitions into person defense.
Nice mark there from All Young, but she calls a foul against Shira Liu. I think she may have stepped on her foot. Laughter, so everybody's okay.
Expect nothing less from Oh Young. Very, very positive player, even as she runs ferociously.
She was very pleased with our diaper advertisement from the first half.
Keith, you were just so proud of it. How could she not be?
It's actually expanding to her teammates, as I see a couple on the sidelines and even on the field. Esparza coming back in, just going back a throw. Up ahead to Schmaltz for a short gainer. Nearly blocked by Marcilla, but Land tracks it down. That's a fast matchup. Blinken, you might miss these two.
Great mark from Marcilla there on Land as she resets to Esparza.
Esparza pointing to the break side, asking for that cut, and Schmaltz obliges. Esparza hits her with the offhand backhand and then the on-hand backhand. Deep shot to the end zone for the score. Nicely done by the Texas Melee offense, showing what they're capable of.
Yeah, that was a nice high release there from Esparza. She likes that throw. We haven't seen it a lot in this gusty wind. But when given the opportunity, she'll throw something tricksy like that just to keep you on your toes.
Taking a look here as Esparza directing traffic, calls her shot and works out perfectly. She's 2 steps ahead. And using that clairvoyance to set up a deep shot for her teammates and gives her her 3rd assist of the game. She also has a goal. So Esparza really leading the offense in many ways for this Texas team. No surprise from the 5th year.
And she certainly, of all of their handlers, I think it's fascinating. Their handlers each have very different strengths. I think Esparza is particularly talented in the red zone, just outside the end zone. And so I think sometimes when they're working it back and forth across the top of the end zone there, she's often the one who's able to find the space for that assist.
So UBC's O-line will come out, mostly pretty fresh after a break run to end the half. UBC advancing to quarterfinals in last year's college championships. And if they can win this pool, we'll do it again. All Young up to Morcilla, and Morcilla's forehand hangs. Difficult read for Victoria McCann, and she can't come up with it.
I am betting that was not the throw that Morcilla wanted to come off of her hands there.
And a nice grab there from Texas, Anna Smith, tracking down that throw from Caroline O'Connell.
Great speedy cut from Cunha.
Cunha coming over to play some defense here for Texas, along with Schmaltz. Give Dominica Sutherland and this defense a little more firepower. Sutherland holding.
Again,
Seawall on the mark.
Again, we see not a lot of cuts coming from the Texas stack.
And kind of back shoulder fading forehand, looking for Schmaltz against Morcilla, and Morcilla just denies her with her body, refusing to get posterized. Now Morcilla up ahead to Al, and Al looking deep for Paige Muir. Great throw. And you can see the speed on display from this UBC team. The throw to space is their best weapon, and the temerity for Paige Muir to try the over-the-head scoober. McCann forced a bid again. Can't get it, and a red zone turnover.
Talk about tricksy shots. Huge hawk from Sutherland there. Bryant trying to run it down, but it's not going to be able to come under that one. And giving UBC another 70 to go in the gusty wind.
UBC missed throw there, intercepted by Schmaltz. She immediately goes into the end zone for Cunha. And the O-line players generate the offense after the turn. A break for Texas puts them back on top 9-8.
That's Schmaltz's second D like that in space, just picking up the trash as she's poaching off of her player, and UBC not seeing her, somehow not seeing her there in the lane.
Second D for Schmaltz, along with a second assist. Cunha gets her third goal. We'll take another look at that one. So we see the poach block from Schmaltz, just in the lane, the throw a little bit wide, and she capitalizes and wastes no time finding Cunha for the goal. So a timeout here from Texas. And right now, if you had some money on Ohio State upsetting Stanford, hold on to that, because it's 7-7 now. After going down 5-0, all 5 breaks, Stanford has fought back with a 7-2 run.
It's possible that Stanford could grit out the win here, but that you've got to ask the question, how many more of those wins do they have to grit out in pool play before they even make it in the bracket? And what is that going to do to their energy levels for a team that is hoping to make it back to the final?
Don't count out Sadie Jezierski, Elaine Wetley, and Ohio State Fever. Close to home here. And if I recall correctly, they did pretty well last time we played Nationals in Cincinnati.
Nothing like a national title to bring home.
Texas looking to get their first national title this year. Have never advanced to the semifinals in team history, despite having such a rich history. And this team feels like they have the opportunity, and plays like that could help them get there. Shirulu jumping in the lane to get the block.
More nice handler movement here from Texas.
All young bids, but can't get there. Land looking for an option. She and Garrettser go to work for the score, and another Texas break. Nope. Hold your horses. They're bringing it back. That time they're going to count it. Observer hands go in the air, and Texas breaks again to take a 10-8 lead.
UBC playing good handler defense. They're really challenging them in the red zone, but put Schmaltz on the break side, and it's tough not to throw to that, and you can count on Schmaltz grabbing that for her second goal so far this game.
And take another look at Land. Just late in the count, manages to find some space on the around. Mark not disciplined. Gotta cut that lane off.
UBC down, but certainly not out. You can hear Laurel Oldershaw, new to this team this year, a grad student coming up from the Bay Area, has really become an inspiration on their D-line. She's often the one you can hear in huddles cheering on the team and bringing up the morale for this team. She's been a big plus on their D-line so far this season, and is bringing a lot of grit to this team.
And Oldershaw telling her teammates, we are not a one-half team. We decide that now. And UBC has got to look within themselves to collect themselves, because another break for Texas is going to put UBC in a hole they have not seen yet this game. Sutherland with the big backhand pull. Melee, hoping they could put their foot on the gas. McCann streaks deep. Lots of space. Siwa hits her with a forehand. And then McCann finishes it off to Naomi Johnson. Exactly the kind of hold UBC needed.
Beautiful turn for the forehand there from McCann as she recognizes the space there. Can't ask for prettier ultimate from UBC.
That was classic UBC offense. Isolate your first cutter, send them deep, let them outrun their girl, and then finish off the play.
Now we'll see the real challenge here. We'll watch this play one more time.
McCann just with so much room that she can kind of backpedal into that catch, even though it was a little short. And then Johnson just taking off to get into the open side space. If you're enjoying UltiWorld's coverage here of 2017 Nationals, or have enjoyed our coverage in the past or look forward to the work we can do, we would really appreciate your support in our subscription drive. We're asking for our readers, our viewers, to help us to continue to do the work that we've been doing and hopefully improve upon it. I would say this is the most advanced live stream we've ever been able to bring to the table, and it's enabled by the support of our readers. Head over to ultiworld.com/subscribe. We really appreciate your support and frankly need it to continue to do the work that we do. UBC looking to continue some work here as they need a couple breaks now, as have not started off the second half the way they would have liked. Now coming back with zone to try and challenge these Texas handlers.
Starting that zone, and as Texas breaks out of it, they transition into person. Big
Lou with
shot.
a forehand bomb. and it's just too far for CUNY to track down.
Looks like Morsilla may be down.
Looks like a cramp, immediately getting stretched out by her teammate.
Let's hope it's a cramp. That's better than almost every other injury could be when you collapse on the ground in a game like this.
They don't feel that way. But fortunately, if you've played sports, you know they'll subside. But man, when they happen, they feel like death. You're like, I think at least me. I get a cramp and I'm like, oh, this is it. Call my family, tell them I love them.
Morsilla being helped off the field by her teammates and coach.
Or just carried by Coach Gadwee. First-year coach with the team. And honestly, that's one of the things I think that has been a challenge for this UBC team over the past couple of years. We talked a little bit about this prior to play today, but even with all that skill they have, I think it's difficult for them to be on the same page because they change coaches so frequently. Had a couple different coaches over the past couple of years, and a little consistency could go a long way.
Fantastic grab there from Oh Young.
And then she rifles a forehand, but Vic McCann is not going to be able to get to that one. So now Esparza's coming in with Oldershaw on the mark. Nice job on the mark by Esther Al to take away Lou's around backhand, but her forehand drops into the waiting mitts of Schmaltz.
Texas creating nice movement here. Looking to work down the open side right now, not swinging. Straight.
Esparza just so adept at attacking up the line. Really just, I would say it's the thing she might be best at. And they're trying to let Schmaltz do what she's best at. Jump ball. Schmaltz goes up with two hands to dunk on Johnson, but can't quite complete it.
I didn't know it was possible to overshoot Schmaltz. She's built this expectation this year. She can catch anything.
Maybe it was a fluke. I don't know. An immediate huck from UBC into traffic, and two players collide, but everybody's getting up.
Esparza picking up again, looking to the break side, finds Schmaltz.
Now Schmaltz with it on the open side. All the way across the field, but Vic McCann gets a block.
Great person defense there on the inside shoulder from McCann.
Siwa resetting to Oldershaw.
Cutter's looking a little tired downfield.
And a layout block by Sydney Overman has enough pace on it to still be a completion. And now Oldershaw takes off deep and opens up some underspace for McCann.
She's got legs.
Continues, Esparza chasing, and just maybe got a fingernail on it, but Oldershaw gets the catch, and we are back to tied, Katie, 10-10.
You could see in that point the Cutters downfield are looking a little fatigued, so Oldershaw from the handler space takes it upon herself to pick up the energy on that point and to get it done.
Oldershaw has been a bit of a migrant, really, at this point. She's come over from the East Coast, where I believe she played in Boston. Then last year was in the Bay Area, played with Nightlock on the club scene. And then I imagine used some of her first college eligibility to start a grad program at UBC, where she's been a huge addition to their team. But 24 years old as a grad student and brings a lot of experience.
Keith, we knew this game was going to be a battle. At 10-10 with the heat on. This is shaping up to be, I would say, probably the best game I've seen so far today.
It seems like the best game that we've gotten on the stream so far. Had some great plays, but not exactly close battles, and this one has been tight the whole way. Largest lead thus far, just 2 goals. Take this brief break to get you guys some score updates. In the men's division, Minnesota up 13-10 on Oregon. Wilmington up 11-7 on Connecticut. And UNC up 12-5 on Oregon State. We'll get you some women's division scores in our next break as Esparza fields the pull from UBC. Zone again from the Thunderbirds. Handlers swinging the disc. UBC early transition into person.
A lot of real estate in the midfield here.
Hanger, and Vic McCann comes down with it. Junior having a nice second half here for UBC.
This will be a big break for UBC late in the game here, and it's looking likely as they pick up the pace.
Seems like Texas might be getting a little tired, and a great throw from Serena Tam. Vic McCann with the bookends, hits herself with the spike, but the goal counts all the same. And we are exchanging runs of breaks here, and now UBC back in the lead, 11-10.
There are times when UBC gets that turn, their efficiency with the disc, they just aren't taking as many 50-50 shots in the second half. They're really looking for those easy open insides.
We'll take another look at this one. Watch Tam after she takes this disc, stepping out and getting super low to deliver it. And nothing that Land can do as McCann gets there. And another timeout as we're getting down the stretch of this one, and I think we're starting to see a little fatigue. I mean, we talked a little bit about McCann and the second half she's having. She's got a block in this half, 2 assists and a goal, on top of a pair of blocks in the first half. So I think she maybe was a little bit quiet offensively in the first half, and here we're seeing her pick it up right at the right time for this Thunderbirds team.
McCann always seems to be in the right place at the right time, whether it's to get the block or to make that, break cut for the score. She's a very smart cutter that is always cutting intentionally and finding the space where, her teammates have just cleared or even creating spaces so that her teammates can better cut.
She's one of the few players on this team, this UBC team, that is not Canadian. I believe she's from Pennsylvania, actually. But
knew something was different. Could just sense it.
Well, that brings some American defense, I guess, to this Canadian team, getting a couple blocks for them.
Were we trying to take credit for her defense now?
Hey, man, I'm a Patriot. Actually, it's a little, sometimes I try not to say, best team in the nation, specifically because UBC is so good. Can't exclude them. They've consistently been one of the top teams in the women's division over the past couple years, as proven by repeated quarterfinals and semifinals appearances. I'm not sure they've been outside the top 10 in our power rankings in 3 or 4 years. Texas has, but this year they have really been near the top of the stack, especially after their early season upset over Stanford. And then final appearance in the Stanford Invite, and wow, what a throw from Andrea Esparza. A high stall release valve. Julia Schmaltz is very tempting, but the throw makes it so Schmaltz has little work to do. Back to tie at 11-11.
Very casual release there from Esparza. It's almost like she was saying, I'm done with this point. Schmaltz, you take it. Let's get our D-line out here.
I'll tell you what, if I had a receiver like Julia Schmaltz, I had a choice between a difficult high stall reset and a difficult huck, I'm always taking the huck.
We'll take another look at that huck here.
Just cocks it back and sends it. Schmaltz is happy to be on the other end of one of those. Gives Esparza her 4th assist of the game. And second to Schmaltz. Although it is the 3rd time they've connected, Schmaltz hit Esparza early in the game for Esparza's only goal.
These players have played together for several years on Showdown together, and particularly Esparza and Schmaltz seem to have a connection throughout this season, where Esparza is looking for her deep, and just like you said, when Schmaltz has the disc and is looking around the end zone, Esparza is such a powerful end zone handler. Chances are she's going to be open as well.
We said we'd get you some women's scores, and here's a couple updates for you from the women's division. Virginia up 11-8 on UC San Diego. Close game still between Stanford and Ohio State. I think they are still battling on a very lengthy point to try and take half, tied at 7-7.
Wow.
Oregon has come back against, Delaware, has come back against Oregon, and it is 11-9, Oregon's lead after they took a very large lead to start. UBC trying to get a lead back, but McCann's forehand heads out of bounds. The old commentator's curse.
It's like being on the cover of Sports Illustrated. You get featured, and then you're in trouble.
And the UBC defense sets the zone. And I like that against this less experienced handler group of the D-line. And Sutherland's forced to punt, and Aw Young gets the block.
Nice help defense there as there was a strike cut. Sutherland jumping out into that lane to deny that.
Forehand huck from Morcilla for Oldershaw, and it's a great throw. Oldershaw gets the goal. 12-11, UBC maintains their advantage.
It's Oldershaw's second goal this half. Again, taking it upon herself to finish these points out.
And honestly, it feels like this Texas D-line has struggled to play good deep defense against UBC. They've just been, I'm just not sure they have the athletes, really. Most of their top players are on that offense, and UBC has been able to capitalize, especially in the deep space, where they can use their speed to just run past them, just like Oldershaw did there.
It's true. Texas's best quick players like Cunha and Land, are primarily on their O-line, and you're not necessarily going to get players like Overman going toe-to-toe with Morcilla and her speed, or Oldershaw if they decide to streak deep. And UBC does a good job of putting up hucks that meet their cutters as they're running, so they don't always have to be jump balls where they have to play the height game.
A couple of corrections from me, not for Katie. Katie's doing a great job. Stanford now with a 9-7 lead on Ohio State. They were able to take half, 8-7, and the long point was out of half. And also a correction, Texas did make semifinals once, led by the venerable Kara Crouch. It's one of the best women I've ever seen play the game. It's back in 2005. Shout out to Gwen Ambler for helping us make sure we got all the right stuff to tell you.
I had thought they had tied for third several years back, but I did not speak up to correct you, Keith. Another great point.
Catching traffic there. Nice play by Sydney Overman. Garenser, a little bit of a prayer, but Overman answers. Ties it back up at 12-12.
More polished offense from Texas here. They've got to hold quickly as our time is running out before the soft cap. Got to make sure they're holding quickly, and we'll see that goal again. Garenser with the disc. A nice outside in flick. Overman grabs it past two UBC defenders to score. And we'll see a slightly different D-line out here for Texas. No Sutherland, but Esparza, Liu, and Schmaltz out here.
We've seen them kind of do this. It's almost like they have O-ish line and a D-ish line, but really they're just two units, and they will send them out on whichever one they feel like is the right one at the time. This group typically playing offense, but if they're going to go play defense, they're going to all do it together. Esparza with the pull.
It's like we were talking about before, Keith. You need the speed of Land and Krenia on the D-line, and here they are.
And they come out in zone. Not something we've seen a lot from Texas thus far.
And not something they've played a lot of in the regular season.
And the throw through the cup from Zhang is out of the reach of All Young, and now Texas can take back the lead with a break. Here's Gerritzer on the break sideline.
Couple miscues downfield from Texas between handlers clearing and some cuts happening. Big shot.
Overman looking for another straight score, and just a little too high for her. Can't quite get the right read on it. But another power position huck for Esparza, who just is a machine that's programmed to go up the line. It's like she was developed in a government lab.
I think she's a little too feisty to quite call her a machine, but those throws certainly are reliable.
Now UBC starting to get some motion as they keep the disc popping around and force the transition out of Texas.
This is the kind of pace you have to stop UBC from building, or they'll just march right into the end zone with this.
All with the break around to All Young, and continue throw is right on the money for Janelle Siwa. And since the soft cap went off, I do believe that is going to lock this upset up for UBC. We're waiting for confirmation here, but no, it actually looks like a timeout. Maybe we have one more point to go. We are going to play to 14.
Nevertheless, a crucial point for UBC there. We'll watch this again. Great break from Ao here. Then Ao Young with a curving backhand. And Siwa just makes the play when it's needed to cheering fans on the sideline. So Keith, we've built so much up around Texas being the 4 seed and UBC the 5 seed, but what are the actual implications of UBC upsetting Texas here? Does this really hurt Texas that much?
There still remains to be seen what happens. Neither of these teams has competed with Cal yet, the third team in their pool. So an upset there could really shift the order. But we've seen time and time again that winning the pool is incredibly advantageous here at Nationals. Not a lot of pre-quarters teams over the years have been able to advance to the semifinals and beyond. And the other thing, it's going to tip the matchup that Texas is going to get, how early they'll play one of the other 1 seeds. However, Virginia, having lost to UCLA, is now not in the driver's seat in their own pool. So the loser of this game could somehow end up avoiding having to play a quarterfinals matchup potentially against Virginia if you project pretty far out.
But the potential of UCLA facing Texas in the quarters, if the pools shuffle that way, that would be a phenomenal game to see those teams go toe-to-toe again this season.
Well, I'm expecting some really great games once we get to the bracket. We've got a great one on our hands right now, Katie, as UBC looks to break to upset Texas. Liu with Paige Muir on the mark. Still, this Texas offense looking a little stagnant downfield. But Julia Schmaltz finds room underneath. Muir hustling to take away the dish for Liu. Nice job by Overman to get the under. Resets to Esparza. Now to Shirley. Texas with plenty of pressure on them, but this veteran group's not going to be afraid of that. Esparza up the line yet again. Hammer looking for Schmaltz. Andrea Esparza, folks. She's got guts. She's definitely got guts. And now she's got her team set up for double game point.
Our reporter, Dan Prentice, recently did a profile on Texas, and he talked about Texas Ultimate, and they're very proud of playing Texas Ultimate. Well, to me, that sure looked like Texas Ultimate from Esparza and Schmaltz there. We'll see that again.
Esparza with a hammer that really just turned and dropped perfectly. When it came out of her hand, I thought it was going to be high and floaty, but navigating the wind expertly, despite having, I don't think, thrown a hammer all game.
Nope.
But that one just drops right into the lap of Schmaltz and adds to both of their statistical acumen over the course of this game. So UBC sends out the O-line. Basically the same line out for Texas.
Yeah, and UBC's line also O-ish and D-ish. Got players like McCann and Oldershaw who've spent a lot of time on their D-line this season, playing quite a bit on the O-line in this game.
Almost dropped the pole there, but avoids that ignominious fate. And now here's Aw Young getting space underneath. I think if they're going to score this point, it's probably going to involve Aw Young getting active. Although it could just involve a deep shot to Laura Oldershaw, but doesn't have quite enough speed to catch up to a throw with plenty of mustard on it.
I thought she was going to leave her feet there.
I imagine she's still thinking about if she should have. Always tough to tell from these angles, but Texas now going to get a chance with the disc.
Esparza picking up here with the chance to break for Texas.
And give and go right away. The mark helps take away the upline. And nice find from Garanser to go right to the break side. Lots of switching here from UBC, and it's freeing up some cutters, but they recover before Schmaltz can find anybody. And now it's very clogged, and Schmaltz is forced to punt. Great defense by UBC. A moment that looked very scary, but they managed to conquer that. Disc in on the sidelines. No reset option for Tam, but she gets it up to Aw Young. Aw Young, backhand huck, looking for Morcilla. Esparza chasing. Morcilla catches it over her. Aw Young finds Morcilla, and UBC stuns Texas.
What an incredible grab. Straight over her head. Oh, Young punting into the end zone. We'll see that goal again in just a moment. A game-winning score from Morcilla.
And it's only fitting that we make that game-clinching play the B Ultimate play of the game. B Ultimate not only offers elite sublimated gear, but also Ultimate-specific pants, socks, hats, and more. Choose to be better than ever, and check them out at BUltimate.com. And check out this B Ultimate play of the game. Aw Young just putting up that backhand, and Esparza in a really tough spot, and Morcilla just fights her off to catch it. Not the end of the tournament for either of these teams, but it's certainly going to put British Columbia in a favorable position. And after a day without upsets, the last two rounds have taken out 2 1 seeds.
What excellent ultimate here in the second half. It was pretty sloppy in the first, but both teams really challenging each other in the deep space. Texas with their height, and UBC exploiting their speed to get a lot of deep balls as well in this game.
Katie, after seeing Virginia and Texas both take losses today, do you think that favors Dartmouth and Stanford, the number 1 and number 2 overall seeds, who, if Stanford holds on against Ohio State, have both gone undefeated thus far?
I'm inclined to say it speaks more to the strength of those pools. UCLA was always going to be a dangerous matchup for UVA, just like UBC was going to be a tough match here for Texas. I think having watched Stanford and watching some of these other players, I think Dartmouth is still pretty secure, but I would not count out UVA or Texas in this fight.
I mean, if you want to talk about the advantage of having a great regular season, not to say Texas didn't, they did, and Virginia had an exceptional one, it's the draw that they got in the pools. I mean, having to play a team like UCLA and a team like UBC to hold on to your pool is a really difficult task. While Stanford got all they could handle really from Colorado, and Dartmouth just throttled a pretty competitive Notre Dame team. You know, it's up to you to decide whether or not you think that the 1 seed held much advantage, but really, right now, looks like Stanford and Dartmouth are in the driver's seat, but plenty more action to come tomorrow, and we have plenty of games for you as well. We've got a very exciting one. I think people are pretty pumped up to see the Sin the Fields game tomorrow.
Oh, dear.
Are you ready for that, Katie?
I will never be ready for that. I think they've got some things planned that fans will enjoy and Ultiworld staff will groan at, if I had to guess.
So we will be back with you tomorrow. We've got Wisconsin and Oregon men's, and we have a pre-quarter and quarterfinal coming up in our schedule. We've got Virginia Tufts in the women's division, so plenty to check out. Definitely keep up with our coverage, ultiworld.com/live for further coverage of everything going on. If you're looking for a full recap of everything that you saw, everything that we saw today, stay tuned to Ultiworld, and we will see you guys tomorrow. For Keith Rayner, Katie Reynolds, and all of our crew here at Ultiworld, we're signing off for the day.
This game is brought to you by Spin Ultimate, proud to sponsor Ultiworld's 2020 college coverage. Visit Spin Ultimate on the web at spinultimate.com.
Every time we press the license, we play better. Let's go, take down the trail.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Bird Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.